They'll create movements. They get you involved. And it's just a very strange aspect of human behavior that we don't teach kids about in school. You should teach kids like, hey, don't join a fucking cult. Here's how you know it's a cult. You know, if the guy's like a yoga teacher and he gets to have sex with everybody's wife, guess what? That's a cult. You know what I mean?
Nature's way of telling.
There's a lot of these tells. But you're not teaching kids that. We don't teach kids how to avoid scams. We don't teach kids how to communicate ideas without getting upset, because that took a long time for me to learn. You know, and we have to figure it out through a lot of intelligent and challenging conversations where you're like, I don't know why I feel the way I feel. Let me examine why I feel the way I feel about this rather than just say what I think. Because sometimes that's required to have a delicate conversation between two people that disagree where no one gets to shouting. You know, every argument that I've ever been in where it was like, fuck you, or it got real loud, every one of them I probably could have avoided. Even if the other person was like hyper, super aggressive, I probably could have avoided them. I probably could have de-escalated it, you know? And that's a reality of being a human being that needs to be taught. Like that's something you learn on your own, but you should also explain these principles to kids as they're growing. Like, hey, you know how you feel jealous about someone? Yeah, you need to turn that into fuel. That's inspirational fuel. That bad feeling is motivation to get the good feeling that comes with improvement and success. And you can use it to ruin your life and become jealousy, or you can use that same feeling and use it as inspiration, and you will thrive. And you'll also have a lot more friends. Try it that way. And you could teach people how to rethink scenarios when they come up and go, okay, I know this little bitch in me wants to be mad that this is not me that's getting to be Superman in this fucking movie or whatever it is. But that's just like cool that someone got to do that. And that's how I have to look at it. Nobody teaches that. It's like one of the best ways to manage your life. And you got to figure it out through like stumble after stumble. You have trial and error all along the way. No one telling you how they did it. Like, how about teach that? Teach that to fucking 12-year-olds. Like, don't argue. Like, have disagreements whenever possible. Nothing wrong with that. But don't get like completely attached to your idea to the point where you're angry at this person because they voted this way and you voted that way, and now you've cut them out of your life and you can no longer communicate with them because they're an other, because they're a liberal or they're a Republican, they're a conservative. Like, what are you doing? Like, how did you get tricked with this? What a dumb fucking trick. Like, you're with us or against us. There's only two teams. It's shirts versus skins. Like, this is so dumb. Of course, there's a bunch of different ways to think about things. We're just suckered into it. And if we don't teach kids that, we're going to stay suckered forever and ever. And it seems like something that can be taught. And there's almost no effort to explain to kids like how to navigate life.
Well, I don't think teaching it is the right way to think of it. I think what you need is an environment in which it teaches itself, right?
That's good.
A coherent environment in which
Yes.
you learn the lesson, at small scale before you're faced with the larger scale problem.
That's probably a more clever way of handling it. But I mean, the principles of it would help to know as you're experiencing it. So as you're going through this trial and error, having these principles of how to navigate it so you could recognize it when it comes up because you've already defined it. That's like what you do with skills, like physical skills.
Yeah.
You have to, when you like find like a deficit in what you're doing, you have to recognize that and define it. And if you don't define it, then it's going to always be there and it's going to always fuck you up.
Yeah, but, we used to do this automatically. We were just sort of built to do it. Our culture, which I would argue is every bit as biological as our genes, our culture provided this experience, and this really is what human childhood is for. If you have an environment that is coherent as a child, that's like a miniature version of the adult world that you're going to grow up and live in, then you learn these lessons, right? You get your heart broken by, the girl that you fancied in grade school, and you learn something about, what you did that caused her to leave or whatever. You learn it at small scale. And we don't, our childhood environment doesn't look like our adult environment because the adult environment is changing so rapidly that nobody knows what environment you're going to live in as an adult. And it's just not set up properly. For one thing, we don't immunize children from being parasitized by corporations that view them as profit centers.
Right.
And so, corporations are distorting childhood for their own purposes. But I want to go back to your point about movements for a second.
Yeah, but while we're on this, just to define it, I think everybody has to go through all those things. I think everybody has to go through breakups. Everybody has to go through heartbreak. But I think having an understanding of what it is not bad.
No, it's good.
I'm not saying shield kids from life. Your best teacher is always going to be life.
Yep.
But what I'm saying is, if you gave someone a framework to understand they're going through when they're going through it,
Yep.
and you go, okay, other people have gone through this. All these people have there's a database that we can draw from. We get taught in school. This is how it happens. This is what it's going to feel like. And you get taught by competent people that aren't out of their fucking mind and just want to turn you into a furry or whatever.
Well, right. Although I'm not sure school is the place. And I do want to go back and tell you why I slightly disagree with your point about school overall, and that is the place to solve things. On that front,
Well, I'm not just solve things. I'm not saying solve things, but radically improve people's chances of success.
Right. But the problem is that is an idea, a great idea, that is past its sell-by date.
But why?
Because you just stepped across the event horizon into the AI era, and school is now an anachronism, and we don't know what is supposed to replace. I mean, think about what school... I have had the interesting experience of being on campus in 2 different colleges in the last week while I've been on the road. And I hadn't really spent much time on a college campus since 2017. Things are very different than they were.